All right, so I just sold my Exxon. Had a nice little profit there. I mean, I bought it at 38 and I sold it for 59 6 months later. So I'll take that short-term capital gain. I get it, and I'm not an active trader. I'm not. I don't like the progression of this woke corporation crap and Exxon having these two new board of directors that were added because a firm that only had 0.02% or 0.01% of the total outstanding shares was able to get BlackRock and all the big guys, heavy hitters, to agree to their shareholder activism. Yeah, screw that, man. Anyway, I'm going to buy VDIGX, which is the Vanguard Dividend Growth Fund instead. The Vanguard Dividend Growth Fund is only 40 shares, 40 funds, 40 stocks. That's it. Very actively managed, not very heavily traded, but actively managed, where the managers are looking at the stocks to buy and with conviction, which I like. Now, that's my biggest holding is still VTV by far, the Vanguard Value Fund, large cap value fund. The problem that I found is that at the end of the day, just because a company has low PB, price to book, low price to earnings, low PE, and pays a higher than the average S&P 500 yield, i.e., that's inherently a value stock. In of itself, that doesn't mean there's value. Doesn't mean there's value there. And my man Harry brought up a good point, Harry Chu, and he said Macys. So let's look at Macys. I want to show you guys something. And this is interesting because if you look, I'm looking at Schwab. If you look at Macys, I want to show you guys. So Macys, if we go down to, I'm not sure. Let me pause it real quick. Macys is up 200%, which is quintupled that of the S&P 500 over the last year. Why would Macys, who's just a seller of apparel, be up so much? Well, that doesn't make any sense. So what we're going to see here is I want to show you guys something else. So here's the dividends over the last year. 37 cents a share, 37, 37, 37. Oh, wait a second. That's April 2020. Dividend details. Dividends are not available. Interesting. See dividend tab. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. Oh, look at that. We had growing dividends 2013. It was 95 cents a share. The total of all dividends in 2013. $1.87 a share. And then it went to, $1.19 a share, excuse me, $1.40 a share, $1.50 a share, and then it stayed flat. $1.51, $1.51, $1.51, and then dropped to 38 cents, and then down here where they'll pay a dividend. No dividends in 2021. Is that growing? It was until it wasn't, if that makes sense. It was until it wasn't. And look, 35 cents, 80 cents, 95, 119, 139, 149. Ooh, so it was growing until it wasn't. Dividend yield average, 5.31 over the last 5 years. There's no dividend yield right now. It's zero because there's no dividend. Interesting, isn't it? So it's a dividend growing dividend until it's not. So then we look at our ratio. Let's see if it's our ratios here. Is the PE ratio be here? Because I want to show you guys something. This is Macys. Price to earnings. No price to earnings. But forecasted earnings, price to earnings is $9.06 over the next fiscal year forecast, which that is saying that Macys is going to make so much money, even taking into consideration the stock price is quintupled that of the S&P 500 and doubled in value over the last 2 years, that their earnings are going to be so high that their forwarded earnings relative to the current price will only be 9. Negative ROE, return on equity, no price to cash flow, because they're literally not making any money, no dividend yield. So that's a value stock, absolutely, but is it a value for a reason? I mean, it's just a seller of apparel. Now, you have made money in this, I grant you. Again, forecasted PE, but no sales growth. Look at that. Sales growth, negative 13. 5-year sales growth, negative 7.74. Earnings per share forecast, negative 192. Earnings per share growth 1 year, trailing 12 months. All right. I mean, look, across the board, nothing. Gross profit margin, operating profit margin, negative. You can't make money if your operating profit margin is zero. Current ratio, well, they got enough to pay off their current debts, that's for sure, but they don't have enough to pay a dividend. So why would you? I mean, look, other than speculation that they're going to get their act together, but I mean, why would you buy the stock? I mean, you can. I don't care. You can. The point being is, people made a lot of money in it in the short-term speculation, but it certainly isn't a value stock that I would want in my portfolio. All right, so now we go to VDIGX, and then we'll come back to looking at VDIGX versus VTV. All right, so VDIGX, and we're going to see holdings. You're going to see they only have 40 holdings, and I've no United. So they got the top four, United Healthcare 4% of the holdings, American Express 3%, Johnson Johnson, McDonald's. Now, because some of these companies go kaput, there's Northrop Grumman. You will be anti-white privilege. You will be anti-racist. Have you seen how they're putting their white executives through basically re-education camps? Crazy. They got 48 holdings now. All right. So the point being is that we're hoping that that our guys who run this fund are managing to make sure that they're not going to get killed with a quick dividend that's a growing dividend that flattens, that drops down. We're hoping that can happen, because if you bought growing dividends, because Macys has grown their dividends since 1920s, well, you're in a world of hurt right now, that's for sure. Now that's what I'm hoping for. So you can see that these guys are. Let's go to performance here. And I own this. This is my second largest holding. So we're going to see they've averaged 10.84% a year, which actually beats the S&P over 10 years, 15, which beats the S&P 500. Over 5 years, the S&P 500 has beaten them. Over 10 years, they've lost to the S&P 500 as well. If value stocks come back around, they should smoke the S&P 500, I think. But anyway, you can see it's up 10% year to date. S&P 500 is up 12. Year, they're up 34%. So they've lost the S&P 500 for the last 1, 3, 5, 12, but over 15, they just barely squeaked them out. So anyway, the point being is I expect and I hope that this will outperform for growing dividends, because S&P has done so well. Now, we'll see. So let's look at this compared to VTV. Let's just look at VTV while we're doing it. VTV. So this by far and away is my largest holding. And we're going to go to research. And so let's go to performance. There's probably about 200 shares in this guy. And we can see performance versus the S&P 500 since inception. S&P 500 has beaten it like a freaking, I don't know, beaten it like a what? I don't know what it is, like a dead horse. 8.78 to VTV. S&P 500 is 11.10 over 10 years. 11.69, S&P 500 14. You see what I'm saying? But now the problem is the last 5 years has been very favorable for the S&P 500 relative to VTV for sure. So what that means, I don't know, but I believe in growing dividend value stocks. That's for sure. I don't believe in well, I should say I don't believe it. I like them better than I like growth stocks. So let's compare these two. Hold on just a second. Compare VDIGX versus the VTV, and which is which here. So VTV is portfolio 1. VDIGX is portfolio 2. VDIGX has smoked VTV 50,000 to 38,000 going back to 2005 of inception. So we'll take that. We adjusted with inflation. It's going to be even the same thing. I mean, it's significantly higher. All right. So let's do a portfolio 3. We'll compare the let's do VTSMX, just a total stock index. Blank. And we'll go analyze portfolios. So what C has done is better here. And so we throw some small caps in there as well. VDIGX is beating both of them pretty handily in terms of the VTV. That's for sure. Let's just look at we'll just look at S&P 500 VFINX. There we go. Just to get large cap to large cap to large cap, and imagine this is going to be the same. Yeah. So VDIGX is beating the S&P 500 going back to 2005. Not significantly, but handily, and smoked the VTV. That's for sure. So. And that's the thing, VTV, they're going to have a Macys in there that they can't control. They're going to have GE in there that they can't control. But VDIGX could say, I'm not going to buy those, or I'm going to sell because it looks like things are going to hell in a handbasket. And VTV can't do that. It's a drawback of an index fund, not going to lie to you. Let's go back to the last 10 years. Say 2011 to today. and we'll see what, I'm sure the S&P 500 is beating both. Oh, baby puppy. Hi, puppy. And we shall see. Yeah, S&P 500 is handily beaten. They've beaten by $3,000 VDIGX. They've beaten VTV pretty handily. So you can see what's happening here. So I'm selling my XOM. I'm buying VDIGX. I'm still going to keep my biggest holding in VTV. But I just wanted to report back to you because people are saying, what are you going to do with the proceeds? So there you go. Yeah, love to hear your thoughts. Thanks now.